Yeah, that's right. Take the fucking L, bitch. Take that fucking L. We're live. We're here. What is the date today? January 30th, 2022. My name is AugieRFC, and it's been a couple days since I've been on the air. I have been meticulously crafting my response for many days now. That's actually complete bullshit. I've just been playing Halo. I wrote my shit. I wrote my shit in like a fucking morning. This morning I woke up. I was like, all right, let's tackle this shit. So yeah, I wrote up a fucking document. I wrote a bunch of shit, and we're gonna go over all of it on stream. Don't worry, I'm not dropping a Twitter doc. It's basically just my live notes. Because I've seen the video now like 2 or 3 times, and gotta be real, man. And people are gonna say I'm being egotistical, or I'm talking shit, or something like that. But the video just was not that good, man. Like, I was expecting something that I would have to that would really puzzle me, that would really stump me, that would cause like sub loss or just an influx of people shitting on me on Twitter, saying that I'm some dishonest piece of shit or something like that. I was really expecting to have to go back to the drawing board for this one, but that didn't happen. So, I mean, I'm just be honest, you know, it sounds like I'm talking shit. I am, but realistically, none of that happened. In fact, I'm pretty sure Fake Tipster, who's been on a roll this week on Twitter, absolutely rolling Ralph, roll technicals. Even Fake Tipster pointed out that on the day that the video came out, the only person that lost subs, actually gained that day. The only person that lost subs, ironically, was technicals. So, I mean, that should really speak to the quote-unquote damage of this video. Really, it's just a circle jerk between the two camps, right? Because realistically, my audience, even when the video came out, because now it's my first time really addressing it, now it's my first time responding to it, but even when the video came out, people in my audience were just posting mega threads, debunking all the points. I mean, really, I gotta give it to the fans, because they were on the ball more so than I was, you know? And I think that just speaks volumes about the video itself. It just wasn't good. It just didn't make any fucking sense. So we're going to take a look at it. Like I said, I have my document here. We're going to go over, I think, 5 main points. Really, the main point's going to be the title of the video, you know, the supposed commentary double standard. We're going to be going into detail about that and why that just doesn't make any sense. Then I'll be responding to the high school context meme. I'll talk about the Discord bait thing, which I don't even really care about, but I'll just talk about it anyway. I'll talk about some of the Swan stuff, although John did his own response stream. I didn't watch all of it. I watched like half of it, but I'm sure he did a good job addressing the, you know, the portions of the video that were relevant to him. I do want to touch on some things, though, about that. And then after that,
Mike the Bike and Grey Street funded $100.
Holy
so
shit.
I want to get this out the way now. My band has finally released a full-length album. I want to thank you and the community for all the support I sent you. The album in DMs. Also expect an Ethan Ralph parody this Friday. Anyways,
let's fucking go, dude. Big shout out to Mike the Bike and the Grey Street Band for that $100 donation. Check them out on YouTube and Spotify. We'll check Mike the Bike out, and also check out his band Grey Street. You can find that at, I think his channel is youtube.com, Mike the Bike. I'm pretty sure that is. Yeah, spam the links to your shit, Mike. Let everybody know where to find you. And big shout out, Big 07 for that donation right at the top of the stream there. Big shout outs. So anyway. And then the final thing I'll be looking at, so like I said, I'll go into the Discord-based stuff. I'll touch on a little bit of the Swan Nick stuff. I'll also go into some of the Twitter shenanigans that happened afterwards, and overall, it should be a pretty constructive response. I'm not planning on taking too much time to respond to this. I mean, well, I'll give it as much time as I need, but expect like 30 or 40 minutes. Again, however much I need, and then we'll probably just move on, because this drama's cancerous. Nobody involved in this drama has fun with it. I think it's pretty much only fun for the audience, but even then, the audience is... Like, I had people telling me, like, don't even bother. Fuck it, just don't even respond or something. And I'm just like, well, yeah, as funny as I would be to just not respond, I do genuinely want to respond, because I think there's points here that need some addressing, because nobody really knows what the fuck they're talking about. So, let's begin my response. And by the way, I'm gonna mute donations here. I'll still read them at the end, but I just don't want them like getting in the way of my monologue here. So I'll read them off at the end there. But let's go ahead and break this down first of all. All right. So the title of the video is the commentary double standard. All right. Let's establish what that means. So Technicals is saying the double standard is that commentators are cool with and defend Zaptai, yet criticize Red Kiwis and Minilad and Zero. So let's get into this.
Hear this message. I have no problem with people who want to criticize me or my cases. That's perfectly fine. But in the midst of all of this chaos, I've noticed a very obvious double standard. There's a case that perfectly illustrates what I mean when I say there's currently a double standard in the commentary community. Not to be confused with Turkey Tom on Twitter, that's just his handle. Zaptai, who is now currently known as Bigby, was a popular commentary channel in 2017. He was involved in a flirtatious relationship with a 16-year-old catfish who was actually 14 when he was 20 years old. Now I can already hear the people screaming, "Dude, he was 19 and she said she was 17. This is literally Call Me Carson." Well, if you do a 5-second Google search and calculate the ages according to the time frame of the allegations, you'd realize almost instantly that Zaptai was 20 the entire time. Also, 5 years ago, 4 months after the original Twitlonger was posted, Zaptai said, "Was talking to a 16-year-old a fucked up thing to do? Yes, won't challenge that." Why would he say that talking to a 16-year-old is fucked up if he had only spoken to her sexually when he believed she was 17 and then broke it off when he found out she was 16?
Let's make this clear. He thinks she's 16 at the time, not 13.
She had allegedly catfished the at the time 9.
Right, so we get the point here. All right. So this is the supposed commentary double standard. All right. Now, there's some important quotes here just so that we're clear on what Technical's actual positions are. First of all, Technical says, "I don't believe Zaptai is a pedophile, nor do I believe Zero is a pedophile." All right. This is important for a reason I'm going to get into in a second here. But let's just go ahead and hear that. Let me just play the clip so that we know what his position is.
4 years. I just want to make it very clear before I go further into this. I don't believe that Zaptai is a pedophile. Neither do I believe Zero is a pedophile. Okay?
All right. So he has a problem with how commentators look at all 4 of these stories and have different conclusions here. The commentary consensus is that Zaptai good, Kiwis bad, Minilad bad, and Zero bad, and he has an issue with that. He's essentially saying that all commentators should have the exact same opinion on all 4 stories. Either they're all bad or they're all good. Now, according to Technicals, he thinks that Zero and Zaptai are not pedophiles, all right? So by that logic, he must also think that Kiwis and Minilad are not pedophiles either, which is why I said on Twitter that I was surprised to see him effectively give a defense for Kiwis and Minilad. Now, some people said that I was being dishonest here. I'm sorry. I've thought about this for now 3 days. I can't see how what I said was dishonest. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Because, I mean, truth be told, people make me out as this guy who just wants to, just be dishonest to everybody and just, slander everybody. I've never done that before. And even to people that I absolutely fucking hate, I absolutely despise, I'll never be unfair to them. At least, especially not like that. Like, come on now. So people are saying I was being dishonest. I'm sorry, but by his logic, unless there's some massive, 4-dimensional chess move here that I'm just not understanding, it seems like he's on board with the fact that you must have, to be morally consistent, a very similar perspective on all 4 cases. And I'm going to get into why that's completely retarded. Also, let me just remind you what his stance is on Zero. Zero is guilty of a pedophilic action, but is not a pedophile. This is from our first debate with him.
Oh my fucking god. Dude, you're not listening to what I'm saying. You're just calling it a sob story. I'm giving you the reason why he's not a pedophile. Are you saying that
you can do a pedophilic action but not be a pedophile?
Yes.
Okay. Dude.
All right. So now that we're clear on what his positions are, let's get into why this is retarded. So here's what I have done here. I have assembled a document that tells the story of Red Kiwis, Minilad, Zero, and Zaptai. And I have receipts for all of the claims. I have the timelines established right here. And we're going to get into all 4 of these cases right now. And I'm going to explain why I come to the conclusion that I do with each of these 4 individuals. Just so we're clear, all right? I like Zaptai. I can't say the same for Kiwis or Minilad or Zero. And if you think that that's inconsistent, well, by the end of this segment here, I think it'll be pretty clear why I draw a different conclusion to Zaptai than the others. It's very, very simple. I've made this as simple as humanly possible. So first, let's re-educate ourselves on Red Kiwis. Red Kiwis was 17 and got pictures from a potentially prepubescent child who allegedly lied and said that she was 14.
However, it all went surprisingly well, and Kiwis actually managed to admit to everything and bury himself in the process.
We met when I was 17. She claimed she was 14, but I guess she lied, apparently. She must have been 13 at the time. Can you clarify? A year and a half ago, was she 13?
Well, a year and a half ago, she probably would have been 12 and a half.
Uh-oh.
It's just, I was 17 at the time, and I understand she was 14 or 13.
All right. So we heard that clip. Kiwis later argued in this drama alert that she, quote, looked 15. He claimed he did this because he was depressed, which doesn't make any sense. Then a couple years later, Kiwis exchanged pictures with the same girl, now a 14 to 15-year-old, when he was 19, 1 month before the drama alert interview. When confronted about this, Kiwis says, quote, you argued the age gap wasn't weird, end of quote, to the child.
He's 19.
Jerica, you constantly would tell me that age is not an issue. I would tell you age is kind of weird. Like, it's kind of weird. And you would say,
but the problem is, Kiwi, is like one person's an adult and they have to know better, and it doesn't matter what the kid says.
I know. I understand
blocked
that. But
me
like,
if I was being an issue.
He also kept repeating this clearly
All right. Then he went on Scarce and said that, and he argued that it was just a, quote, simple mistake.
it was like a heat of the moment type thing, dude. She was telling me, dude, you can trust me, it's okay, I promise. And then like I do it, I was really uncomfortable, and after I did it, it happened, whatever. I was 17, dumb mistake, and literally I didn't talk to her after that. I was really uncomfortable. We didn't talk for a long time.
But you guys did this recently, right? Like when you were 19, correct?
Around a month ago, yes, because she Snapchats me every single day. She messages me every single day, and I always ignore her.
I know why he tried to avoid the fact that...
All right. After this, he retweeted tweets calling out his former friends for clout chasing. Then he made a video attempting to defend himself where he thanks other friends for backing him up. Here's some quotes from that video, by the way. Quote, they truly believed I didn't do anything wrong. Quote, she convinced me to send pictures of myself. Quote, it was a group effort. Quote, it was all consent. Quote, I know she's younger, ... but she's a teenager. Quote, so many people in high school make this mistake.
And in my opinion, I think Kiwis weaponized his audience to target the minor he exchanged pictures with.
I just want to say thank you to all the people that support me. I've recently talked to a ton of Call of Duty YouTubers that are in my community. They're really high up, and they respect me. They understand my side, and they truly believe I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm so thankful that people are actually understanding this, and they're not being so close-minded into automatically thinking that I'm some kind of because this girl lied about her age and convinced me to send her pictures of myself. Like, she sent pictures to me too, but it was a group effort, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like, there was no harassment. It was all consent, and I know that she's younger, and but you're a teenager, dude. Like, so many people in high school make this mistake, and I see so many people on Twitter get exposed for this, and
5 years later, this video has only 2.4k dislikes and 22,000.
He claims she lied about her age, but provides no proof, even though he also claims that he might have the evidence, and he's thinking about putting it all out.
She lied about her age. She said she was 14. She was probably 13.
You don't have evidence of this, or do you? Or just any evidence, messages, or anything like that?
I know she lied, and I was on a call with her, and she admitted that she lied. I might have some recordings of it, I might not. I'm thinking about if I want to put it out or not. I don't know. It's a whole fuck situation.
Okay. So that's the Red Kiwi story. Now, I'm confident condemning this guy and wanting him to have nothing to do with YouTube based on his lack of forgiveness here, based on his constant, incessant justifications for it, based on the fact that he tried to, I hate using the word victim blaming because that's like language I generally don't like to use. But I mean, let's be honest, that's quite literally what he was doing, especially in his response video. And even to this day, he still covers it up. So this guy has shown no remorse. This guy has made multiple questionable statements. You argued the age gap wasn't that weird, saying that to the child, saying that it was all consent, it was a group effort, but she convinced me to do it. Excuse me. She convinced me to send my cock to her, guys. I know she's younger, but she's a teenager. These are comments that are concerning to me. These are comments that are alarming to me. And based on these comments and based on his actions, this is why I condemn Red Kiwis here. Does that make sense, chat, or do we disagree so far? Let me see what the chat has to say about this. Are we pretty comfortable condemning Kiwis here? Because I am. It seems like the chat agrees. And I'll say this right now, all right? The reason why I'm going to painstaking detail about the intricacies of these stories and what makes these stories bad is because what Technicals does in his video is he only tells you what the age gap is and ignores all of the context. If you only look at the age gap, some of these situations are either similar to each other or almost the exact same if you only look at age gaps, right? The problem is that that's not how we look at these situations, right? We don't just look at numbers and draw our conclusions to that. We have to look at the context. We have to look at the story. We have to look at what actually fucking happened here, all right? And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's why I'm justifying to you guys my positions on why I condemn Kiwis, for instance, right? Let's do the same thing with Minilad. Why is Minilad bad? Minilad admitted that he was 21 when he began flirting with a 17-year-old.
People who are my friends. Hallie I've known for a long time, since maybe 2013, 2014. Hallie was one of my Twitch mods. Hallie was a really good Twitch mod. She helped me out. She helped Terrorizer out. She helped a lot of the guys who I played with on our streams, and she was someone that I could go to with my problems. We became close because we both had our issues. It's not my place to say what's going on with her, but she's someone who has helped me out a lot. The first thing that I wanted to say was I added Hallie on Snapchat when she was 16. This isn't when I was making any remarks towards her. This is just where I talked to all of my friends. I was that guy that had streaks, and I wanted to make sure that our streaks were good because back in 2015, that's kind of what people did. It wasn't until 2016 when she was 17 that I first started to flirt with her. I was 21 at the time, and that's not okay.
All right. Her name was Haley. They started talking when she was approximately 14 and he was approximately 18. He added her on Snapchat when she was 16 and he was 20. They began sexting when she was 17 and he was 21. If you think this is new information, this is not. Technical shows this in his video and highlights the age gaps himself. Let's take a look at that.
Same exact number of years apart is fine.
Yeah, that's right. Looking at only the age gap here. But do you know what Tech didn't highlight in this segment? Let me show you guys when he pulls up the tweet. Okay, look what he highlights here. He highlights when he added her on Snapchat and when they began flirting, but ignores when they began speaking. This guy met this girl either when she was 13 or when she was 14. He knew her for 3 or 4 years before he began sexting with her. Don't you think that's an important detail to that story there? Don't you guys think that that's a little bit alarming? I do. If y'all don't, then I disagree. I think that's kind of important. Technical shows this in his video and highlights the age gaps, except for the period of time that Minilad knew the girl before they began sexting, according to Minilad. This is a key detail to the story that makes it a million times worse than before. Minilad claims that he did this because he was suicidal and that, quote, he thought he'd go down swinging. He said, I thought I would go down swinging. What the fuck? You can see in the DM right here. He shows it on screen. I know this is random, but I've been defending you a lot. Do you mean it when you said you didn't know she was underage? It's because I promised myself to defend you. Minilad responds, I knew she was 17, but I was suicidal and said to myself, if I'm going to kill myself, I thought I'd go down swinging. My actual thought process. And do you know what he has to say for himself after this?
My cards on the table and telling you guys what happened, I feel like I need to say it. The reason I did what I did, and there was even a message where I said this, is because what I said there is true. I did try to end my life at the beginning of 2017. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for anything. This is not what this is.
No, don't worry, guys. It was only a self-sabotage. Heard this one before.
This is telling you guys the reason. And I just want you to understand the headspace that I was in. The reality is I was being selfish. I wasn't thinking about repercussions. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just being stupid. And I really want to apologize for that. I just wasn't thinking. And I regret it. I've regretted it since. And for that, for both Hallie and Ash, I'm really sorry.
Oh, who's Ash? Don't worry, we'll get into that. Ash was another girl he had an inappropriate friendship with around the same time. He met her in his Twitch chat. She was 17 while he was still 21. He claims the conversations they had were inappropriate and not right. And I think he's about to explain that right now.
Ash, to me, I knew a lot shorter. I may only have known her a few months. She was a part of a group of friends who my Twitch mods were friends with, and that's how we became friends. This is someone who I became friends with just through association with my friends. And the stuff I sent to her is just not okay either. And that's not what I want. You know, she was someone that I really did call my friend, and it sucks that I let her down like that. I also wanted to point out a message that I sent to Laura, who is a part of my Discord mods. She's someone who I met a few years back, maybe 2016, and she was someone who I considered a friend as well. Whenever we went to Insomnia, we used to hang out and meet up at the booth that Terrorizer and I had, and I sent this message. Whenever I saw them coming out with my message, I sent them this. This isn't me. That's not right. It's something that I completely regret. I panicked. I was scared. I didn't know what to do, and I love my job so much that I didn't want it to go away.
Okay. Here's her twit longer. This is Ash. And her Twitter thread. Now, we don't have to get into this, but I guess we could if we wanted to. It's not that long. My experience with Minilad, I was 17 photos and replies. That's her Twitter thread right here. When I was 16, I was a huge fan of Craig Minilad and his friends. I made a fan account for him on Twitter to make friends with other people and became good friends with an amazing group of girls. We had a group chat where we talked daily and would often tweet Craig in hopes of being tweeted back. One of the girls in the group tweeted Craig asking if he wanted to join the group chat. By our surprise, he said yes. He followed the girl who tweeted him initially and was added where we all chatted for a little bit before he left. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, and we were so excited to have been able to talk to someone we looked up to. A little later, he followed me and sent me a DM to say he would not have been added to our group chat if it hadn't been for me. I was confused as I had no part in him joining the group chat, but was excited anyways. He told me if I ever needed anything, I could reach out, and then he began to discuss his recent breakup and how poorly it was affecting his mental health, so I told him he could do the same. I was over the moon to feel so close to the person who I was infatuated with. We were casually friendly for a while, and many tweets back and forth and the occasional DM. He added me on Snapchat, where we chatted here and there, nothing super deep. Things took a sharp turn when we were chatting on Snapchat one day, and the subject of virginity came up. He asked if I was a virgin, and I said yes. He then asked if he could take my virginity, and I told him yes. Things escalated from there, and it's hard to recall specifics from so long ago, especially from Snapchat, where chat history gets deleted. I remember my family had a trip planned to California to visit family for my birthday, and he asked if I would be able to come over to his house to have sex. I told him it would probably be a long shot because I was still 17 and my parents probably wouldn't let me out alone. My stepdad ended up having minor health complications that made us cancel our trip, a blessing in disguise. Although I never went to physically meet him, things continued to be sexual. We called a few times on Discord, and he asked me for nudes quite often. I initially told him I wasn't comfortable sending things like that, but I was afraid after a while he would lose interest, so I complied. I can't say exactly how many pictures/videos were exchanged, but it was quite a few. He initiated nearly every conversation because I was too intimidated to message him first in fear of bothering him. All right. So, look, the whole Many Lad allegations are there. If you want to read them and you want to get into it in full detail here, the reason why I'm comfortable condemning Many Lad is, first of all, this happened 2 times, okay? Do you guys remember when Tech was saying that in the important thing to establish if somebody is like a pedophile or not is, repeated behavior, right? Because one of his arguments was, well, Zero, this is only like a one-time occurrence, right? Well, even with Kiwis, but also with Many Lad, well, with Kiwis, it happened with one girl, but twice with that one girl. And with Many Lad, it happened to 2 different girls. And also with Many Lad, the first girl he had been speaking to since she was 13. He waited until she was 17, not 18. He couldn't wait for 18. He waited until she turned 17, then went in. Because I guess he just couldn't wait any longer. I don't know. That detail right there is important to me. Both those details. The fact that it happened 2 different times, and the fact that the first time that it happened was with somebody he knew since they were 13. Does that not strike some alarm bells with you guys? Does that not make sense why I'm comfortable condemning Many Lad? Or am I out of line here? Let me ask the chat. Let's poll the chat here. He's condemned. You're good. Agree. You are correct. Anyone else? All right. Well, it seems like the chat tends to agree with me so far. Okay. So we can continue. So that's Red Kiwis and that's Many Lad. 2 guys, bad dudes. Don't like them. Now let's talk about Zero. Zero was 19 when he sexted and requested pictures from a 14-year-old girl named Katie. And we can go through the allegations. All of you guys have seen it, but I'm going to do it again. So buckle up. Because this is context, this is review. We're going to review.
Dear Zero, my name is Katie. I used to be in the Smash community. I was 14 years old during our conversations on Skype from September 2014 to January 2015. We met online when you were streaming on Twitch, and I messaged you over chat. You seemed to take an interest in me and gave me your Skype username. I, starstruck, made a Skype just for this and began chatting with you. I'll note that I was decently educated when it came to internet safety, but it mainly regarded things like don't message a stranger and whatnot. But you weren't a stranger. You were Zero, a top player. You won the E3 Invitational and several tournaments before. Having any attention from someone like you was mind-blowing to me. That's what made me an easy target. I was a young girl enraptured with the idea of being friends with someone I looked up to and admired. You used me in this state to flirt, manipulate, and ask for sexual favors from me. To remind you, this is what happened in our conversations. You called me kitty, kitten, honey, all mine, while flirting the entire time.
There's a reason I'm playing this again, because we all know, we've all watched this video multiple times, in public and in private, but I'm playing it again because we need to establish why it is that we condemn Zero, okay? So I need to explain in hyper-specific detail, and I need to remind everybody, because for some reason people keep forgetting. It's really weird how much everybody has a short-term memory loss, but then says that I forget things all the time. So let me just play it again. We're going to suffer through it, but it's going to serve a point, and you'll see in just a second.
Tell me some more about you. Like, what do I not know about you?
Oh, I'm 14, I'm a girl, I'm smart, but I love Smash. Also, do you think that we could video chat one day? Sometime? Not now. You don't have to.
Yeah, sure we could.
Go, Zero, go! Imagine me with pom-poms and a cheerleader outfit or something.
Lamau, adorable.
Thanks. Wait, you, the legendary Zero, just called me adorable?
Yeah, you're an adorable cutie.
Thanks.
So
cutie.
Adorable.
No, seriously, this is like a big deal for me. You're like one of my role models / favorite persons. I'm your official adorable cheerleader. Seriously, I'm blushing so hard right now.
Adorable cutie.
Oh, be quiet.
But you loving it. Can't lie to me.
Yeah, I am.
Lol. You are so adorable. OMG. Too much.
Stop.
Kitty cat Katie.
Seizure.
You're going crazy for me. You just love it. You're loving it, girl. So loving.
You manipulated me. For example, you called me a pervert and made me believe it when in reality I was being goaded to say things by you.
Kate, you a perv though. It's okay.
Remember that there's some Technicals fans that argue that there was no sexting that took place. The DMs themselves are completely fine. And if you think, Augie, nobody actually has that take. That's just some retard on Twitter. No. Oh, they do.
You growing up. It's gonna happen. You are still a baby.
You also told me I was your secret, and so I couldn't tell anyone about our conversations. Do your viewers know why you're probably falling off your seat right now?
No, you're my secret.
What? I'm your secret? The fuzz does that mean?
You're such a cutie. Mad adorable girl. Yeah, no one knows what we're doing.
Wait, what? I'm your adorable girl. That's really creepy, but also really cute. I mean, what?
You call it creepy, but you love it. You're like, I hate you, but love this and this.
No.
Yes.
I will never admit it.
You're loving it. Predictable. I just know it.
I won't admit it, ever.
Yes.
Never. Zero, please. The worst offense I can remember is that you asked me to masturbate with ice and take pictures. I lied when I told you I masturbated as you asked, and then I declined sending you pictures. The worst part of all of this is that I did not take screenshots of this particular situation since I was so embarrassed by it. You wanted to make this activity a habit, that every 2 weeks I would do what you say for a day.
I promise I'll be normal. If every 2 weeks we could do something like that, or in that day, I could go all in.
Swear on the river Styx?
Jason, I promise you. As long as you promise me that those days, you are all mine.
Fine. Here's why I never came out about this. I blamed myself. I admit that I was extremely enthusiastic in our conversations because I was just enamored with the fact that I was talking with the top player. I idolized you, and you used that to your advantage. But don't take it as, oh my god, Zero's so hot. No. Not that kind of love. Well, maybe a little. I mean, what? But I love you like I want to be like you. I mean, I'll be your little cute, adorable kitty that's also your personal cheerleader when you need it. I'd probably do anything for you. Not bad for a 14-year-old girl, huh?
Oh, wow. I'm surprised. I had no idea you felt so strong about me. I'm honored. You're adorable and very nice. We could definitely talk more and stuff. I'd like to know you some more.
But because I was so naive, I considered myself responsible for years and thought that my experience would be invalid because of my actions. I didn't take screenshots of the worst situations. The screenshots I have were actually when I was so starstruck that what I thought was happening to me was special, so I kept them for posterity. Only later did I realize that the messages you sent weren't good for me at all.
I love how you react so funny to things. Mad adorable. It's like when you rub a cat's belly, and then they just roll around.
You will not rub my belly.
Yeah, why only do that?
Despite the wave of stories that have been told lately, I believe I will still receive immense backlash. She wants attention. She just doesn't like him. But trust me, I wish this never happened. And I wouldn't wish this amount of mental stress on anyone as well. These months of my life have haunted me for years. Ever since we stopped talking, it's been in the back of my mind. Whenever I saw a video of you, or saw you talking to other top players I admired, or saw a fan talk about how great of a person you were, I would feel sick to my stomach. And this feeling has been growing even stronger these past few days, telling me that I have to say something, that I have to speak up to end this conflict. All I want now is closure, a genuine apology. I was a kid back then. I was stupid. But you are an adult, and you should have taken responsibility and said no. You never should have encouraged any of it.
What grade are you in?
9th, so I'm a freshman.
OMG, you're a baby hand. Haha, adorable. Smash skills don't matter, kitty. You'll grow out of it eventually.
I'm now an adult, as old as you were when we first talked, and I could not imagine ever talking to a minor the way you talked to me. You knew what we were doing was unacceptable, and you should have stopped it way earlier than we did. I realize that you have the power to reject everything I accuse you of that I don't have evidence for. I understand that this was 5 years ago and that you have very likely matured and changed since it happened, but I want you to realize the effect you've had on me. I've grown as a person too, but I've had this burden on my heart for years, and I want to let it go. I will very likely never return to the Smash community, in part because of what happened between us, but I want to close the book on this situation for good. Signed, Katie.
Okay. Trust me, chat, that was as painful for me as it was for y'all. But it needs to be played because we need to just go through all the fucking details. Holy shit, dude. We need to go through everything just so that it's crystal fucking rock solid clear what my positions are, because everybody seems to be really confused. So we're going to be as painful as this as necessary. All right. So Zero was 19 when he sexted and requested pictures from a 14-year-old girl named Katie. At first, Zero put out a statement claiming that they had never met, nor had they exchanged nudes. Okay? To begin with context, I've never met Katie in my life, and we have never sent each other graphic pictures of any capacity. I want to make that very clear. However, in this same document, Zero also lies about not knowing when Katie was underage. So, to make it very clear, the photo she sent was a picture of herself and her friends, blah, blah, blah. Prior to this, I did not know she was underage. All right, when is this dated? September 23rd. He claims that at the 23rd of September 2014, he didn't know. But in this screenshot, let me see if I can pull this up. Sometimes Discord links get a little bit fucky. There we go. In this screenshot, on the 21st, 2 days before the 23rd, she says, I'm 14. I'm a girl. I'm smart, but I love Smash. So Zero got called out lying. Zero, after being caught lying, then released another twit-longer statement, the one we are much more familiar with, where he seemingly confesses to it all. Katie, the screenshot you guys were wondering about the ice cube thing, it's true. The claims Katie makes are true in general. There are no graphic pictures of anything of the sort, but it's unforgivable regardless. I want to just be clear out here. But later, and this is where it gets really confusing, claims that the second twitlonger was a suicide note, and they had fully planned to take his own life right after posting it, seeing so many of his close friends turn on him and feeling like he couldn't adequately defend himself. He claims that the document was made to sabotage himself. This can be seen in his response video that he put out back in November.
So-called confession for my part. Simply put, this document is nothing more than a suicide letter that I wrote during a tremendous mental breakdown. I had fully planned to take my life right after posting that document because I pretty much lost all faith in that scenario, seeing so many of my close friends deciding to take the situation, to throw me under the bus for personal gain, seeing how people were reacting in general, and me just feeling like I could not defend myself properly, pretty much took the last bit of hope that I had left, and I decided not just to give up, but to sabotage myself on purpose. If you have been watching my content for years now, it should be no surprise that I have been rather open about my mental struggles and depression in general. This is not my first fight with suicide, and for a long time, I have been really struggling with that line. But after taking time to reflect and think properly and review all of the evidence that came forward later on, I realized this was a big plot to assassinate my character and just destroy my life. Since then, I have retained legal counsel to take the necessary steps to deal with this scenario, and I'm also in the middle of a lawsuit with some of the involved parties in this case.
All right. He claims that the document was made to sabotage himself. It's important to note that Zero has never confirmed or denied at this point whether the ice cube thing with Katie happened or not.
This is the part where you angrily type in the comments.
But technicals, he confessed. You don't need evidence, you victim-blaming piece of shit.
Wow, just learn a new phrase? Nice. Very good, very good. Calm the fuck down. We're gonna read it right now. Jesus. Hey, I can't sleep, and I just can't take this back and forth. I don't think it makes sense to keep this going. I just want this all to stop and for me to at least atone. I also want people to stop defending me. I don't deserve it. Katie, the screenshot you guys were wondering about the ice cube thing, it's true. The claims that Katie makes are true in general. There are no graphic pictures or anything of the sort, but it's unforgivable regardless. If you're an observant reader, you may have noticed the stark contrast of tone from his previous responses. That's because Zero wholeheartedly intended for this to be his suicide note. And had it not been for Vanessa, that may have well been the case. If it's not too personal, what stopped you from committing suicide after posting?
LOL! Steak and mashed potatoes. That's what stopped him. All right. Okay. All right. Willie Mac's show, who has been pretty impartial during all of this, tried to reach out to Zero to get to the bottom of it, whether or not the Ice Cube thing happened or not, because it's a little bit unclear what even Zero's position is on it, whether he's denying it or whether he's just not addressing it. What's going on here? I mean, I think that he denies it, but he never explicitly said so. So it's a little bit unclear. It's a little bit foggy, right? So Willie tweeted, since the Zero shit's over, this is where I kind of stand. If Zero just came out, apologized, said in Chile it happens, it won't happen again, I'd be like, that's weird, but at least it's straight up. The fact he can't straight up answer anything himself bothers me. And don't say, but he's talking to lawyers. He made a 50-minute video with Tech. If he can't outright talk to anyone and can't outright deny the most serious allegation, then he's being a rat. Which is true. You can't ask Zero any questions because, he's in a lawsuit right now. But he'll, give a massive statement on Tech's video and on his own channel that doesn't really answer everything, but still leaves like 10,000 fucking rooms of questions here. Why can't we talk to Zero? Genuinely, why not? To this day, Zero has not shown any remorse for what he has done, nor has he flat out denied any of the allegations. You can see here in these leaked DMs that constantly get brought up, Zero showing absolutely no remorse to Katie for what he did. We may be able to pressure her hand to give Katie details. Since Katie is the ghost in the wind, we may be able to uncover her. So, yeah. So based on all of this, right, I can condemn Zero because first of all, his excuse doesn't make any fucking sense, all right? He's already been caught lying before. His lack of willingness to answer simple questions and very important questions is bizarre. And his lack of remorse is probably the most bizarre thing. In fact, I'd say that's my number one issue with him, is just his lack of seemingly self-awareness about the whole situation. Also, given that the DMs are literally him referencing the fact that she is 14, she is young, all right? She's his little secret, all right? She's a little perv, like fucking baby or whatever. These DMs, even if you don't believe the Ice Cube thing happened, the DMs in and of themselves are enough to strike many red flags, okay? But add the Ice Cube thing on top of that, it's just a million times worse. So these are the reasons why I condemn Zero. Does that make sense, chat? Let's see what everybody thinks. Is what I'm saying making sense right now? Okay. It seems like chat tends to agree. So based on everything you guys can see here, I don't like Kiwis for the reasons that I provided. I don't like Minilad for the reasons that I provided. And I don't like Zero for the reasons that I provided. Now let's get to the fourth and final case, Zaptai. Zaptai was 20 when he sexted with a 14-year-old who claimed she was 17. Zaptai met Heather when he was 19 and she was presumably 17 around April 2016. Zaptai, now 20, started dating Heather, 17 turning 18 around September. The relationship broke off in December shortly after she admitted to lying about her age, claiming she was a year younger. So those are the dates right there. No one in this community knew Heather's actual age until months after Zaptai already had left the internet after he got canceled. Zaptai was never aware that he was dating a 14-year-old turning 15. Heather had 17 in her bio until at least December of that year. All right, her name was Heather. In her first tweet longer, she claims that lewd images were exchanged. She specifies that nudes were not sent.
in wrong people.
Heather created a twitlonger where she stated that she was manipulated, lewd images were exchanged, Zaptai encouraged her, and most importantly, she was 16 years of age. On top of that, she attached a few screenshots that made their way around quickly. This included the infamous "you're worth getting arrested for" response that's so memeable, it's probably the biggest reason that these allegations have still remained largely unquestioned to this day. The first thing that caught my eye specifically was that the main twitlonger right here says no nudes were sent, and the message implies right here that the girl was wearing some form of clothes. On top of that, these are very blatantly cropped with no scrolling DMs.
All right, we'll get to those DMs in a second. Age of consent in Washington State, where Heather lived, not Canada. So Heather lived in Washington State, and Zaptai, I don't know where he lives, but it ain't in fucking Canada, which is where, actually, ironically, in Tech's video, he cites Canadian law to say that what he had was would be legally considered child. He doesn't live in Canada. He hasn't lived in Canada since he was like 6 months old. So I don't know why we're reciting Canadian law in the Tech video. Like, he literally does this. Hold on. For the guy that claims that we never did research, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, for some reason, he thought Zaptai lived in Canada. In his you know, video that he spent 3 months working on in his legality section, which, by the way, he later in this video states that legality arguments are stupid, even though he has a whole section in the same video that's literally legality arguments, which is strange to me. But where does he pull this up? It's actually hilarious. It's the DOS test, I think. Where's he pull up Canadian law? It's here somewhere. Let me just look through the transcript. This is hilarious, guys. Like, this is what I mean when the video is shit. Like, how do you take this shit seriously?
From the official Canadian government website, child pornography is duly defined as both any visual representation or any written material.
Wah wah, he doesn't live in Canada. All right. Months later, it was exposed that she lied about her age to the entire community. So she hadn't just catfished Zaptai, she catfished everybody. Well, she lied about her age, but she catfished Zaptai. Maybe I should be more clear there. And apparently she was actually 13 years old. Then in 2019, she told Nicholas Dioria that she was 14 turning 15 at the time, but told Zaptai that she was 16 turning 17.
So the first question I asked her right off the bat was how old was she when this took place, because her age had been up for debate. And her response was, I was 14 turning 15, and I told him I was 16 or 17. I don't remember. He wasn't aware, nobody was. I came forward about my real age eventually, and I knew it was wrong, which is why I decided it needed to be said.
She then states that no nudes or lewds were from him were sent to her. But he did plan a trip to Washington to see her and have sex. The age of consent, by the way, in Washington State, 16. See here. Bionic Pig can be quoted in this video saying, quote, I remember him messaging me about how sick he felt when he found out how young she really was.
Actually was.
He wasn't going out of his way.
Oh, yeah, this clip's also good.
As like a predator, I don't feel like. Did he know that she was 13? Or do you think that he know he thought that she was 16?
He told us, he told us that he thought, because I remember messaging both of us saying that he just found out that she was 13, and he said he was throwing up all night because he
thought that she was 16, right? So he thought that she was 16.
What about the Washington law? From my understanding, that only works if she wants to legally pursue him or something. I don't know. The legal stuff I don't get into because I'm not a fucking YouTube lawyer. But from my understanding, that doesn't even make any sense. Because Nick was explaining to me that would only work if he was like sued or something. And we'll get into what the girl here, Heather, thinks about Zaptai very soon. Actually, let's just get into it right now. Heather, quote, yes, it was legal in the circumstances that no explicitly nude images were sent. She then states that he's definitely not a pedophile.
That no explicitly nude images were sent. Provocative images were sent, but nothing 100% nude. So as far as I know, this doesn't even break the fucking law? So after I got that cleared up, I asked another question that would have served as an excellent opportunity for her to play victim if she wanted to do that, to see where her actual motivations lie. And to my surprise, she didn't do that. I asked Heather how she felt about exposing a YouTuber and how she felt about the backlash she had received, and this is what she had to say. I knew Ed ever since he had 600 subscribers on YouTube, so I was one of the people who knew him when he was just starting out his YouTube channel. And honestly, it's been one hell of a roller coaster ride. We would get into Skype calls with my friend Katie. Katie triggers me from Leafy is Here, so it really didn't feel much different when he began to gain as much traction as he did. When we started talking in that sort of way, I knew it was wrong. I knew it would get out in the end. It wasn't my goal to expose him, because I genuinely did like him, and despite our history, he's still a good guy. He's not a sociopath. He's not a pedophile. He's not a fucked up person. He didn't know I was that young at the time, and that's completely my fault. I knew right from the beginning when I posted that twit longer that nothing would be the same regards to my status, reputation, etc. But once all the allegations appeared on Hot Wet Soup, I felt like it needed to be said because some of my closest friends at the time had already known me and him were talking, and I knew it was only a matter of time before it got out there. No, I don't wish I did anything differently, and if anything, it was a step forward to doing the right thing. I don't believe in cancel culture, and a small part of me regrets exposing him in the first place because I knew he would make it far and he would become extremely successful. And then she went on to say, I felt like it needed to be said. Revisiting the situation 2.5 years later, now that I've matured and grown up, I definitely have more headspace to review and think my decisions through. And that pretty much just walks back all the allegations tenfold. Before you start...
Okay. So it's clear what she thinks about the issue. All right? Let's get into what Zaptai thinks about the issue. In 2020, Zaptai did an interview with Nicholas Iorio, and this is what he had to say about his own actions.
I could see how that would get confusing.
Oh, that's the wrong... Oh, no. Actually, this is the right one.
Even in my video, everyone's like, how are you going to make this video and then do the same? I'm like, well, the difference is I never admitted to all this shit on video.
You thought she was 17, you find out that she's 16.
Correct.
And you continue the conversation. At this point, you were 19, and I believe at some point you turned 20.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you, in hindsight, think this was inappropriate, or...
Oh, for sure.
Where are you...
Definitely yes. That was just straight up fucking creepy and not all right.
I just fell back into what I usually do, and I only saved...
All right, so Tech plays that clip to show that Zaptai thinks what he did was weird to try and like own us, basically. Like, wow, not even this guy stands by what he did. How are you doing that? I don't really see how that's an own. If anything, that shows that Zaptai is fully aware that what he did was weird and wrong. I mean, let's just be honest here. You know, when people say like, you know, how could you defend this? How could you do... If I've ever said in the past that, quote, Zaptai did anything wrong or whatever, then I would genuinely want to correct that because I do think he did something wrong here. And that's just engaged with this in the first place. From what I'm told, he always thought that she was 17. Then she was like, actually, I'm 16. Zaptai had already justified in his head, well, I'm 20 dating a 17-year-old. Now she's telling me she's 16, but she's about to turn 17 next week. So I guess I can keep the relationship going because I've already justified it. And then after that, from what I'm told, is like a week later, he was like, actually, I should probably cut this shit off or something. So if I were to criticize Zaptai, here's what I would give him criticism for. First of all, okay, you're worth getting arrested for. I don't know the context of that DM. Either way, looks bad. Probably shouldn't have said that. So that's one thing I would criticize him for. The second thing is he should have cut off immediately whenever she found out she was lying about her age. Even if she lied about her age and that age gap was still appropriate, which I don't think 16-20 is for the record, all right? But even if she had lied, let's say she was like 18. She was like, well, actually, I'm 17. But in both of their states or whatever, like it's totally legally like, you know, fine or something like that, right? Even then, the fact that she's willing to lie about her age at all should be an immediate red flag to get away from the situation, which in fairness, Zaptai did. He was just willing to justify it for a little bit before ultimately coming to the conclusion that actually, no, I need to cut this shit off. The third thing I would criticize Zaptai for is saving images of her on his phone at the time. Now, these images, again, from what I'm told, were from her public Instagram page, okay? Which is still wrong. Shouldn't have done that. Even if let's say you're 18 years old and you're e-dating a 17-year-old who's about to turn 18 next month. So it's like a totally perfectly moral relationship, right? Even then, you shouldn't have pictures of that girl on your phone, because even if morally it's completely fine, you should just not do that, because you get into this legal gray area where it presents a lot of, questionable problems, and just it gets you into a lot of shit that you probably shouldn't be involved in anyway. Just wait, all right? That's my advice, okay? Anyway. So those are the three things I would criticize Zaptai for, just based on this, right? The thing that makes the Zaptai case different to me from these other cases is, first of all, the context of the relationship. This was an online relationship. They never met. Zaptai intended to meet, but then didn't after he found out what the reality of the situation was. That tells me that even back then, when he was making fuck-ups and mistakes, he had, some amount of moral character in him to acknowledge that, hey, this is bad, this is wrong, this is immoral, this is weird, this is unnatural, I shouldn't do this. And then he stopped, right? Once he found out that he had been catfished. All completely fair and valid criticisms. Okay, I'm glad I'm not fucking this up, all right? Because admittedly, this whole story is so convoluted. I'm just constantly trying to walk on eggshells to make sure I'm not getting any minor detail wrong. But basically, to me, it seems apparently obvious, all right, that this story, this situation, and these fuck-ups are on a whole other planetary scale to Zero, to Minilad, and to Kiwis, okay? Is that a nuclear take, chat? Let's see what you guys have to say. Because to me, it could not be more abundantly obvious that we're dealing with completely different situations here that are on a much greater difference of a moral problem. Not a nuclear take? Deodor Anthony wants to call in. That guy can kick rocks. What the fuck does he want to say? I added Augie on Discord. What does he want to say? Okay. You know what? I'll deal with him later. All right, listen up. Technicals in his video, like I said before, states the commentary double standard as being that commentators will be cool with this guy, but not cool with these people. Okay? I think I've done a pretty decent job into explaining why that logic doesn't make any sense. Because in Tech's video, all he gives you are the age gaps. But in this video, you get the full context of the story. And even if you still disagree, at least, hopefully, you can understand the reasoning, the logic, why I don't like Kiwis. I'm not comfortable with that guy. Same with Minilad. Same with Zero. But why it's different with Zaptai. It's a completely different ball game. Technicals actually, in his own video, acknowledges that nuance can change two different situations.
It's true that, while it's true that both are bad...
Hold on. Get a load of this right here.
While it's true that both are bad, the cases are wildly different. So expecting the exact same stance on two cases that range in severity is just intellectually dishonest.
Wow. Doesn't that say a lot? And in case you're worried about me clip shipping him, let's load that up from the video itself.
Fucking legend.
If Nairo isn't owned a platform because of the severity of the allegations against him, why should Zero be owned one? Sure, sexual contact with a minor is certainly worse than what Zero did. I'm not denying that. But they're both bad, right? Both of them should be shunned from the community. Let's stay consistent.
One is an undeniable crime of sex acts with a minor that has unwavering support from the community, and the other can't even be prosecuted because the alleged conversations don't actually exist. While it's true that both are bad, the cases are wildly different. So expecting the exact same stance on two cases that range in severity is just intellectually dishonest.
Hold on.
You know, I agree there. I agree 110%, right? That's why I look at these four situations as completely different. Even in the situations like Red Kiwis, for instance, like my problems with Red Kiwis are slightly different than my problems with Minilad. And my problems with Minilad are slightly different than my problems with Zero, because I'm talking about 4 different fucking stories. Comparing these is apples to oranges. It doesn't make any fucking sense. All right? So this whole idea that there's a commentary double standard doesn't make any sense. Nuance exists for a reason. Stories that have different details, that draw different conclusions from me when I look at them, exist. You know, when I watched this video, I started to wonder, I genuinely started to wonder, I'm like, is this like a valid point, right? But then I looked into it, I'm like, well, hold on. Why do I morally condemn these people? Why do I, and when I started to look back into my reasonings as to why, they were all completely different reasons. And I was like, well, then it's not the same thing, you know? And the fact that he himself even acknowledges this is just baffling to me. Because he's saying that Nairo and Zero are 2 different. Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. So that's his main point to the video. Now, let's get into some of the other stuff I wanted to address. Most of this is all just minor stuff, but I still want to address it anyway. So the high school context. Oh boy, the high school context. So Technicals in our debate on Drama Alert brought up a previous stance I had on 18-15 relationships for some reason. So let's get into this right here. We'll watch this video, then we'll watch Drama Alert, then I'll explain what this is all about.
Before we go over the specifics, we need to know exactly who we're dealing with here. One of the major proponents of Zaptai's comeback is a creator known as Augustus. Augustus often covers philosophy on his channel, and one of his working theories is that as long as the two are in high school, an 18-year-old dating a 15-year-old is fine.
In the context of a high school relationship, yes, 18 to 15 is fine. And in this specific context, a 3-year age gap is totally fucking fine in a high school relationship.
He would later coin this the high school context theory. I, being a scholar myself, thought this was weird as fuck.
A senior dating a freshman is something that, on its own face value, I don't necessarily have an issue with.
I think that's weird as fuck.
That's creepy.
Okay.
But maybe there was something I was missing. So I hit the streets in desperate search of his acolytes to see.
And then he does a funny skit. Admittedly, it's a pretty funny skit. He walks around town, he asks a bunch of people, what do you think of this? And obviously they all say that it's fucking weird as fuck, all right? Let's watch it from the debate.
Go ahead.
Okay. So 3 months ago, there was some interesting stuff. Post this in general. Let me know.
So the reason why it brings this up is an attempt to make me look, well, first of all, it's an attempt to make me look weird, but second of all, it's an attempt to make me look like a hypocrite, right? Like, oh, you more like condemn Zero, but you're also fine with 18-15. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, even if you're not fine with that, and by the way, I don't even know if saying that I'm fine with that is correct to what I actually believe. I just don't have a problem with it inherently, but I'll explain the nuances in a second here. Let's just play the clip so we know what he's mad about.
Know if you got hacked or anything, because I have some follow-ups on that, Augie, where you said you only think 2 high schoolers dating is a crime because you're afraid of Twitter. Very few people in real life think about this, and then you clarify at the bottom, 18 to 15 is fine. That's literally my only point.
In the context of a high school relationship, yes, 18 to 15 is fine.
So an adult with a minor is fine, is what you're saying?
No. An adult with a minor is fine. Notice how fucking slippery this dude is. All right. So, boom, I've been exposed. Big hypocrite. I have a problem with Zero. However, I'm fine with this. I'm owned now, basically. All right. Okay, so let's talk about this, right? In a high school, okay, in my high school at least, the way classes were organized, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, were all in the same classes, and it was once a week. I had a very different high school experience than most people. That's just how it went. So in that context, it would not be unusual or abnormal for a senior to be dating a freshman. Even in normal high school context, I hear about this stuff happening all the time. Now, I said in this interview that it's fine, which is technically true, but I don't know if that, because like when I say that it's fine, people like come off with the impression that I think every 18-year-old should just fuck every 15-year-old or something like that. Like, that's not what my position is. What I'm saying is that inherently on its own, if I find out that an 18-year-old is dating a 15-year-old, I don't immediately go, that's wrong, that's fucked up, that's crazy or something like that. I might go, it's a little bit pushing it or something. Maybe that's a little bit weird. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to instantly go like, holy shit, the fucking pedophilia is happening. Holy shit. You know what I mean? Realistically, I'm neutral to it, right? To me, it's not inherently good, nor is it inherently bad. It's just a dynamic that exists that I'm not totally like, does that make any sense? I don't know. This is an argument I'm never going to win if you disagree with me. If you think this is like inherently creepy or inherently weird, you're always going to think that. And I'm always going to think that it's not that simple. All right. Tech tries to paint me as like, he tried to paint me as like a fucking, he was like, you sound like a pedo or something on Twitter. And even in this debate, he was like, holy shit, that's weird as fuck. It's like, well, if you really think that what my like simple fucking baby brain take here is super weird, but you're willing to look past, you know, the stuff that Zero did. I mean, that just doesn't really make much sense to me. It feels like you're virtue signaling or just artificially engaging in like moral outrage to try to make me look weird or something like that. I guess I could be wrong, but that's what it feels like. So I don't know. But yeah, he memed on that pretty hard in the video, and I thought the skits were funny, but I still don't think that it's like a strange take that I had. I also don't really think it has much to do with any of these situations, right? It's just something he brought up. And it's also funny too, because in that same debate, one of his pieces of evidence for why I'm a big hypocrite is the fact that he pulled up a tweet that I had liked in 2020 where somebody said like 14-18 is not pedophilic, and I apparently liked that tweet. I don't agree with that, by the way. I think 18-14 is, no, fuck that shit. Get that shit out of here. So I have no fucking clue why I like that tweet. It could have been an accident. It could have been on purpose. Maybe I was tired. I was just like, oh, good point, dude, without really thinking about it. Whatever the case may be, I don't know. The fact that his evidence in that debate was, well, you said this take right here, and you also liked this tweet. It's like, okay, I don't really know what to do with that, but all right. I mean, I can give you my positions now. I'm neutral to 18-15, and 18-14 is bad. If I was friends with somebody who was 18 and I found out they were dating a 15-year-old, I would probably talk to them about it and be like, hey, what are you doing? Are you sure about this? That would probably be my first response. But I also wouldn't inherently assume that they're like a pedophile or something. That's just what I look at it as. Anyway, I don't know. This is a conversation that I'm never gonna win. You either agree with me or you don't. So that's basically the state of affairs there. Discord bait. All right, this is another minor point. It's honestly more of a funny point that he brought up than anything. However, he does use this point to sort of go after my credibility. So I'll explain this here in a second.
This isn't related to Zaptai, I just think it's funny. Some members of my Discord decided to make an obviously fake leak to see if Augustus would take the bait, and both him and Tipster immediately fell for it.
Dude, Technicals wants people to become mods to join my Discord.
Oh,
please respond. I'm gonna own him.
That's a really bad fucking look, dude. Holy shit.
Dude, he's desperate. His video's gonna be shit. Like the fuck out of that tweet and spread it. Arizona tipped 5. Hey, man, you gotta remember that it may be impersonating Tech. Don't be desperate, man. No, they confirmed that it's his actual Discord.
Job well done, guys. Great job. All
right, GG, you got me. Although I will say it is a little bit out of context in the sense that like within like, I'm pretty sure within that stream, within like a minute, somebody suggested that it was like bait, and I was like, yeah, it probably seems like bait or something. So even in the stream that he's clipping from, like, I'm not entirely sold on it. Like I said, this is mostly just like a funny clip where he's like, wow, Augie, what a dumbass, he fell for it. Whatever, GG. But I will say this, I think he does use this also to go after my credibility, to say that Augie's just such a dumbass that he'll just believe anything people donate to him and he'll just like repeat it as fact. That's not true at all. People donate me and send me shit all the time in the chat. They're like, look at this crazy thing just happened. And all the time I'll be like, well, if that's true, that's bad. Or if that's true, that's insane. But I'll always take what my chat and even my donators have to say with a grain of salt. And anyone that watches my streams knows that this happens constantly. Even this specific instance where initially, admittedly, I am taking the bait here. Even after this, I'm like, I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, it was a minor point. Okay, let's go into the John Nick stuff. So I'm going to leave most of what he said about John Swan, Tipster, Tommy, Nick. I'm going to really leave that to those respective parties to respond to that. However, there are a few things that I want to talk about specifically in the John Swan and in the Nick segments. Just a couple points that I found interesting. So for instance, right here, Tech really dodges John's video. I have him quoted here saying the video is 57 minutes long, and there's a lot of points that aren't even worth responding to.
Would be completely justified in doing so.
No, now you're putting words in my mouth. Even in this definition you showed, it makes a distinction between pedophiles, hebophiles, and ephebophiles. I know that people joke if you point that out, but if you don't, there would be no difference between being attracted to an 8-year-old versus being attracted to a 16-year-old.
All right. So that was his first take of the John Swan stuff. However, he does go into some stuff on the John Swan thing. In this segment, he calls John Swan an asshole for what he did to Pie Man, despite defending John previously in March. So he goes after the Pie Man stuff. Let's take a look at this.
I'm sure these points would have hit a lot harder if they weren't overshadowed by how much of a fucking douchebag you are. Did you just memory hole how you accused a 15-year-old of being a pedophile and tried to run him off the internet? We just forgot that?
Remember, you were being turned on by a literal child.
If you legitimately feel this way, you need some help. Log off. You need to like leave online settings because you cannot have a public platform when you've admitted to this stuff. And this stuff is going to haunt you now, forever online.
Willie Mack even pointed out how you lied about apologizing for accusing him of suicide baiting because he didn't kill himself, and instead doubled down that he suicide baited. You can't make this shit up.
But at the end of the document, he said, I might just upload my next video and then fucking kill myself. Okay, well, he didn't. He wasn't. Those weren't genuine.
All right,
that wasn't.
all right. Let's break this down here, okay? First of all, in my opinion, John's a dumbass for this clip. And this is not surprising. If John's listening to this, he's not going to be surprised to hear me say this. I'm pretty sure even back then, even before the dream drama even happened, I told John, or at the very least, I said publicly, I was like, this is a really bad fucking clip. All right. So, you know, there's a couple points that I want to point out here. The first one is the obvious point. The fact that Tech defended this previously back in March when this happened, saying people were talking about what he did to Pie Man is infinitely worse than what he did to Dream. Actually, it wasn't even March. It was in May. Tech said the thing he apologized for, that's wild. Then he says, I mean, the person you're actually talking about vouched for John. You're being mad for somebody who isn't mad. By the way, Pie Man put out a statement on this that we'll get into in a second here. But the second point I want to bring up is what he's doing here with this Pie Man situation is saying that because John dismissed Pie Man's, suicide attempt, all right, and said that it was bait, therefore he's also dismissing Zero's suicide attempt and also calling it bait. But that's not the same point. What John was saying was the way Tech made his video played on your emotions and your heartstrings and tried to make you feel sorry for Zero because he tried to kill himself, because the way the video is structured, it's allegation, but he then retracted it because he tried to kill himself, and then sob story. All right. I have no issue, and I've always had no issue with Technical's interviewing Zero. And I think Technical's reason for interviewing Zero makes sense. He can't just say that Zero wanted to kill himself without no evidence. Having that testimony validates the story. It makes it make sense, right? My problem with the video, and even back then, this was my problem with the video, was the positioning of it, all right? Because the way that it's positioned, I'm sorry, but it's an obvious suicide bait. You cannot debate this. It's obviously suicide bait. What he should have done is he should have gone into detail about what the allegations are, gone into detail about what he said in the tweet longer, and then explained what the current stance is on the issue now, all right? But instead, he quickly plays the allegation, then he goes into sob story, and that's the problem that me and Nick had with the video. It's very simple. You can see it in our first debate with Technicals. It's on this channel. Also, Pie Man put out a statement talking about this. If I've forgiven John, why shouldn't anyone else? Technicals bringing up this also irrelevant to his point situation to attack John out of spite shows he doesn't have anyone's best interest in mind except for his own. This is selfish and wrong. He should be consistent. So, I read the last tweet first. Since the situation relating to John Swan and I has been brought up again in Technical's latest video, I've decided I should clear this air on a lot of misinformation and lies that have been spread. John has completely apologized for everything that happened. He did that in April last year. I've said that multiple times, albeit on now gone accounts. Also, I've wholeheartedly forgiven him for everything. It's in the past, and me and John are on good terms now. If I've forgiven John, why shouldn't anyone else? Technical's bringing up this also irrelevant to his points situation to attack John out of spite shows he doesn't have anyone's best interest in mind except for his own. This is selfish and wrong. So that's what Pie Man had to say. So I wrote here in my document, Technicals has a pattern of having issues with people conveniently after he gets into drama with them, like when he calls out Nick for having boring, uninteresting videos, right? Take a look at this, for instance, right? And this is just a small point, but it backs up what I'm saying. You guys wanted me to speak my mind instead of being nice to avoid useless issues, so here it is. Nick makes long, uninteresting videos I wouldn't watch twice? Wait, that's the insult? Nick makes boring videos I wouldn't watch twice, so you'd still watch them, just not again. Okay. And most of you are live streamers that can't be fucked to be consistent because you don't even remember half of your coverage. Well, that's not true. I'm the most consistent person on this fucking website. I think my track record speaks for itself there. But here's the deal, right? Tech claims that Nick was super boring and uninteresting and that John was always a snake, but he worked with these people.
More than anything. I know that I've worked with Nicholas Diorio and John Swan in the past. That will not be happening in the future. Even when I was working with Diorio, I gave him the easiest part of the Sky House, which was only the finances, and he still managed to wait until the last week to even start
So
working.
then he shits on Diorio for being lazy. Okay, fair point. But he's saying that even back then, his private opinion of people, his private opinion was Nick, was that he's boring, uninteresting, lazy, just unreliable. His opinion of John, I guess, is that John's a fucking snake or unreliable or an asshole to buy man or something like that. I mean, these were his private thoughts back then, but publicly he had no issue working with these people, promoting these people, putting them in charge of or collaborating them with big projects for his videos, even though secretly he thought they were all pieces of shit anyway. He even does this with Tommy C, now that I think about it, right? With Tommy C, he's like, what a pathetic old grown man who makes these cringy fucking live streams on YouTube drama. You went on his show 3 months ago. He went on his show 3 months ago. Despite his real opinions being that we were all pieces of shit the entire time. There's two possibilities here. Either he always thought we sucked, but he was two-faced, or he's just lying and saying that, well, I always knew these guys were terrible right now because now it's convenient for me to have these positions publicly. I have a feeling it's the latter option, and I have a feeling that back when we knew this guy, knew him, quote unquote, that he didn't actually have these opinions of us, but now he's trying to act like, well, in hindsight, I knew everything. Well, if you knew all this shit about us, why'd you still work with us? Well, not with me. He never worked with me, but why'd you still work with Nick? Why'd you still work with John? Why'd you go on Tommy's show if you thought he was some cringy boomer retard? Why'd you collaborate with him? Why'd you promote him? He promoted Tommy's show on his fucking community tab. Things like this don't make any sense. So that's what I'll say on the John Swan and Nick stuff. All right, finally, and this is the last thing that I want to address, the Ludwig stuff. And this has nothing to do with this video. This is stuff that happened after the fact on Twitter. So I put out a clip of Ludwig shitting on Technicals, saying that he was on his way to, quote, defend another rapist. We can see it right here.
Technicals on his way to defend another rapist. Sorry, I just thought that was funny.
Just thought it was funny. For context, he was doing a You Laugh, You Lose stream a few days ago. Randomly, he took a shot at technicals, laughed, actually lost his stream challenge because he thought it was so funny. So this clip was apparently a few days ago. Technicals responded to this by arguing that I'm supporting Ludwig, who supports Jisoo. His evidence for this is showing a stream that they were in together from July 2020, right here. Ludwig supports Jisoo. I thought I was supposed to be the one making Sky look bad. Showing a stream here. Finally addressing things featuring Ludwig. So Ludwig and Jisoo were on the same stream together, all right? Oops, uh-oh. When was this stream dated? Let's see, let's find out. Finally addressing things. Well, I know when it was dated, but let's pretend for the sake of stream that I don't know. When was this stream dated? Finally addressing things featuring Ludwig, Jisoo. All right.
Already, by the way.
July 19th, 2020. This stream was right after Jisoo's allegations released when everyone initially took her side. It's unclear who the rapist that Ludwig is referring to in his clip. I just put the clip on Twitter and said base Ludwig just because I thought it was funny seeing a massive mainstream creator just randomly take a shit on him. Text states that he was instructed by Jisoo to not talk about the Sky House video in this tweet right here. Unless there's an update about Ludwig not agreeing with his roommate's slime that I'm unaware of, he followed Jisoo's instructions to ignore the release of the Sky video and has to this day avoided addressing his initial involvement.
Everyone knew that this was happening about this fucking technicals video. Everyone knew about it, and Jisoo asked people to, if, you know, to like not give it, because she was like, hey, this video is going to come out and it's going to fucking be really annoying and it sucks. And I'm like, damn, that fucking sucks. And she was like, can you like not engage with it because attention is like the engine that feeds people like this Keemstar fellow. Everyone knew that this was happening.
Okay. How does he prove this? By assuming that Ludwig still stands by it based on his silence on the issue. Because why would a mainstream normie Twitch streamer not possibly want to address convoluted and complicated rape and pedophile allegations on his main platform? Doesn't really make much sense to me. I don't know. Now look, it's possible that Ludwig is a complete fucking prick, okay? I'm not gonna lie, okay? It's possible that this is true, that Ludwig totally backs Jisoo even now, all right? And he's a total pussy who won't address his involvement, and that this is all 100% true. I put up a fucking clip and laughed at it, all right? And Tech is sitting here on the fucking drawing board trying to draw these fucking, oh shit, Augie supports Ludwig, who supports Jisoo, who shits on Sky. I'm not a fan of Jisoo. I don't know if I need to make that clear or not. When Jisoo launched her shit GoFundMe or whatever, I made sure to tell my fans, who I would, not that I was worried that any of my fans would donate to her anyway, just knowing my audience, but just in case some people wanted to, you know, throw her some coin or something to really stick it to technicals, to not do that because of what she did to Sky. These tweets still exist on my Twitter account, by the way. Tech claims that I support this. Augie accidentally calling Jisoo defenders based. Research is a bitch. Dude, I threw up a fucking clip and I laughed at it. Shut the fuck up. He then said it wasn't very funny. I don't think characterizing real cases I've done as defending rapists is that funny. Here's another tweet. This is not a lighthearted joke. He genuinely supports the false allegations I work to dispel. I don't know why I think this is funny. So, for the guy who's calling out Tipster for needlessly moralizing, which, honestly, in some instances I actually agree with him on, he does a lot of moralizing here. Well, two can play at this game, right? I don't think his skit where he has Zaptai jerking off to child porn funny either.
Child pornography. This is not a good argument.
And apparently the pictures in her underwear were on her Twitter and her Instagram. They were public consumption. They were on social media.
Dude, what the fuck is this? No, put that shit down. What the fuck is this? Is this chick 14?
Man, what are you talking about? She told me she was 16.
Is this your cum? Did you just cum on this right now?
She's not even naked. I got those from her Instagram.
In this one, she's covering her tits with one arm, and in this one, she's in her underwear. You're an arm's length away from going to jail and you're just fucking chilling?
Alright, how about I beat your fucking ass? Is that what you want?
No, man, what the fuck? I'm trying to see what the fuck is going wrong here because you're...
Or how about this skit where Zaptai's walking around a high school dodging police and looking for children?
Which is not the case.
Dude, what the fuck are you doing here? You're not supposed to be within 100 feet of here. Those are kids.
It's legal in the state of Washington, you fucking asshole. Why are you still recording me? It's legal.
Yo, what the? Zaptai! Let her go!
Alright, we get the point. These are skits, by the way, that tech claims reenact the allegations. Y'all are telling on yourselves by saying I implied that Zaptai's a pedo with those skits. I just think it's weird. If you think a reenactment of his allegations would imply he's a pedophile, you might need to look inward on that one. What, so now we can't call people pedophiles now? You're more than welcome to. Just give me a consistent guideline, at least, because I have no idea who is and isn't a pedo based off the morals of the day. Okay. So he claims that these skits are a reenactment of the allegations. He's not even saying, well, I guess he's saying they're jokes, but also just hyperbolic exaggerations of the allegations, quote unquote. I don't remember those being part of the allegations. I don't remember the allegations being Zaptai jerking off on child porn or Zaptai running around schools and hunting for children. Now, let's give my real opinion on these skits. What is my actual real opinion on these skits? I think they're funny as fuck. Honestly, I thought the skits were the best part of the video. Okay. But if we want to moralize and get pissy over jokes, I can do the same thing too, all right? I can fucking flip on my, I can flip off my comedy switch and say that, oh, this is really wrong. You are saying mean things about Zaptai that weren't true or something like that. Just like we can do the same thing with my fucking Ludwig clip. Two can play the same game, all right? I just want to laugh, damn it. That's all I want to do on the internet. And, well, to be honest, that's about all I got for this response.